My name is Teresa Omondi, Adeitan. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the Forum of African Women Educationalists, which is an organization that champions for girls' rights. That's the entry, retention, and transition to the highest levels of education. We are based in 33 countries in Africa. And actually, where we are here in Zambia, we have FAWE, which is the FAWE Zambia chapter. And we have chapters in the different sub-Saharan parts of Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, and Southern Africa. So I'm excited to be at this conference, and it's really been an eye-opener. It's been a place to tell us as FAWE that we still have more partners that we have not reached or worked with, and that there's still so much resources out there, more specifically working with religious groups. This is an area that FAWE we have not been exposed so much to this group of persons. And living here after a 3 days conference, there's so much to engage the religious who, for obvious reasons, now have a very influential position in terms of girls' rights in Africa. And I think this was just the place for FAWE to be. So FAWE's interest in this conference is education for girls. Like I said, anything that deals with the entry of girls in schools, dropped out, we're looking at their re-entry, and we are looking at retaining girls. For now, in Africa, having the 50-50 upon entry is no longer the major deal, because most countries have actually achieved 50-50. The challenge is how to retain the girls in schools. And they drop off as they go to higher levels. As they get to secondary school, they are less. Yesterday we learned that by the secondary school, they are already 25% down. And even as they get to university, they are less than that, 15-10%. So for FAWE, our interest is to work with any partner who is interested in the retention of girls in schools. And we can do this through various gender-responsive methodologies, either the teaching methodology, either a gender-responsive school, a gender-responsive administration, or a gender-responsive community. In that sense, we will keep more girls, because if their teacher has a gender-responsive style of teaching, using gender-responsive materials, allowing girls and boys to equally participate in class, they are increasing the chances of the girl being in school. If their administration, the board of management of schools, are also gender-responsive, and they understand the need to have the girls in school, then we will increase the retention. And they will accept re-entry for those who, for whatever reason, had dropped out of school. Same to our government. So FAWE's interest is to ensure that there are more people interested in ensuring retention of girls in school. So gender responsiveness in education, it means boys experience education differently from girls' experienced education. Let me use very simple examples. When we go to a school and it is break time to go to have games, but also use the bathrooms or the washrooms. Now, if you say that you're just doing things equally, you'd have 2 toilets for boys and 2 toilets for girls. Now, boys can all pee 10 of them at once because of their biological nature and how they are. Girls cannot do it even 2 of them at a time in one, because of also the way we experience our nature and control. And if the break time period is the same 15 minutes for both boys and girls, it's obvious that the boys will be the first ones back to class. And if you're a teacher who does not understand, when the girls come late, you'll beat them, or you'll punish them, or you'll call out, telling them you're always late in class. But what you've not addressed is that they will need more toilets than the boys if you want all of them to use the bathroom in the same 15 minutes. It sounds a bit mathematical, but at the same time, that's the responsiveness we are calling. And that at the end of the day, ask yourself, are these facilities given equal opportunity and equal speed, pace, and understanding? So that would be a simple example I would use. Yeah. Because like in a men's toilet, there's a urinal. They can stand 10 of them at the same time and finish their call of nature. But for girls, it can. So if then you are looking at the same amount of time for delivery for that specific activity, then it means for you to be gender responsive, you add a few more, toilets or washrooms, whichever name we call them, so that the girls can also be able to finish the same call of lecture in the same given time that you have used for the gentlemen or the boys in the class. Yeah. So responsiveness when it comes to now learning materials, for a long time we've had the doctors being men, the pilot being a man, the engineer being a man. But today, and I'm glad so many countries have changed their teaching materials, today you can open a book and see that the lorry driver is a woman, or you see a male nurse, or you see a female pilot. And that, by opening a book, the girl can actually see it is possible for me to be. But for a long time, you'd open the books and we are in the kitchen, and we are carrying a baby on the back, and we are sweeping. Or you are a teacher of a nursery school where we say the age of 2 years to 5 years is the most influential age of any given child. But that is the day you teach them, mommy is in the kitchen and daddy watching TV. We are all happy children, like very interesting nursery rhymes. The girls will grow up knowing mommy is in the kitchen and daddy is in the parlor. There's a very interesting song that a lot of children are taught at nursery school. So a gender responsive teacher will not have such a song in their class, because in that way they are already implying gender roles to these children. Mommy can also be in the sitting room and watching a video, and daddy can also be in the kitchen at whatever given time. So you start having neutral songs, neutral role plays for the children, neutral field trips, neutral things that can make a boy know that it's okay to be a nurse, it's okay to be a midwife. They make the best, actually. It's okay to be a chef, while the woman can also know that it's okay to be a truck driver, like I said, an engineer, a pilot, or anything they want to be. That's the kind of responsiveness we are talking about. So actually for FAWE, we started the gender responsive pedagogy in 2005. So it tells it was something that people foresaw early enough to try and push governments to change their curriculum specifically on the teaching materials, teaching styles, examples, and also the type of teachers. We also did have so many of female teachers, so that the gender responsive campaign was also to increase the number of female teachers, and especially female science teachers, if we are going to speak about girls becoming the tomorrow's scientists. So I wouldn't say it's very new. I would say it has taken quite some time to catch up. And I feel like in 2023, it's more pronounced than when it started in 2005. Like I already said, many governments have changed their curriculum. And this is out of efforts of organizations such as FAWE, I believe the Bakita Partnership, those who are here, who have really spoken about this and have made the changes. To be honest, the book I used in primary school, I always said, Mrs. Kamau was the one cooking, and I always remember Mrs. Kamau and the baby on the back, and Mr. Kamau, in the farm with a big truck. I don't see that book anymore. I actually look for it to see whether I could even show my daughter, but I don't see it much. But this tells you it's the progress of the campaigns behind gender responsiveness. Now, where we are at now is how to ensure that we have a teacher who, in addition to catching up with what is now the current material, they are also able to move from their own biasness. We are anyway still born with our own bias, so that we stop sending the girls to serve tea in the staff room when the mathematics class is going on, or even an agriculture class going on. It's so natural for teachers to think it's time to tea or to send some girls to bring water or something, because it's naturally inclined in them that is a role for the girls. We should also stop it that when there's some truck that has come and has to drop books, the boys are all sent out to go carry the big boxes, and those kind of roles we can. Let tea time be tea time for everybody, that both boys and girls can serve the tea if there's any tea to be served in a staff room or wherever, or when guests come. I'm sure when you go to school events and there's a parents' day or a teacher's day or some board of management meeting, you realize that the ones who are carrying the trays and the teas are the girls. You not see so much of boys, especially if it's a mixed school. And then when there's the carrying of seats, and we are still sending those masculinity, femininity roles. And what we are calling for is now, we have worked hard now, we have the materials, we are speaking about it, but let's consciously move away from our biasness so that we are able to have gender-responsive schools and learning environments. Another responsive thing would just be as simple as creating a good fence for security of your girls, lighting for boarding schools. What is the path to their dormitories? How lit is it? Who takes care of them? How much security is there? No, so many things that you could think of. Small things, but people never see them as a gender-responsive action. As I said, I touched on it a little bit. Retention is now the challenge. They're all getting into school, but they're dropping out for various issues. A lot of times we only talk about wood blues, especially if it is about going back to school. Climate change. Whenever it is so dry and we can't find firewood, the girls will be the ones going as far as possible to go look for firewood and water. If we don't do anything about our climate change, we'll have many of the girls still dropping out because of the house chores or the household caregiving roles they have. We talk of also the national economy. When things are tough, crimes increases. We all know that the largest victims of crime or conflict or hardship, COVID-19 taught us, the highest hit are the girls. And when that happens, they drop out of school. So for me, my campaign really would be every strategy that ensures anything that threatens the retention of a girl in school, we get to deal with it. And it's beyond I know teenage pregnancy is what everybody is talking about now, but there are various other issues. Traditional practices such as female genital mutilation. You finish immediately after FGM ceremony, you're ready and ripe for child marriage. Those are things that are making girls drop out of school. So it is our harmful culture, it is our economy in the country that is leading to transactional sex for girls and they drop out of school. It is poverty, it is climate change, it is various issues that keep the girls out of school, and we can address them, different stakeholders differently, but with the same synergy, so that we are able to keep more girls in school, so that they can go to the highest level of education.